This is going to be a quick little video because, I don't want to harp on the CIA. I feel like I've already made enough videos about it. I've expressed my thoughts. I haven't told my own personal story, but I should mention that I do think personally getting interrogated by, CIA agent, like undercover agents, that's kind of like that's when I really got red pilled, right? Like, I directly got MK Ultra, but I escaped it, right? And then mine was Jewish because I'm like ethnic Jewish, but I'm an atheist. Thank God. Thank Marx, right? Thank Mao. But this video is going to be about Noam Chomsky, Epstein, and academia. And it's pretty obvious that academia is just mind control. CIA completely runs academia. Noam Chomsky is very evil CIA agent, head of philosophy at MIT. What a joke. And, if you read Wittgenstein, Wittgenstein's the best. You're going to be like, oh, what, Chomsky? I hate Chomsky. I always hated Chomsky because I was like, really into philosophy, right? I like James Joyce, I like Wittgenstein, but you're not going to learn about James Joyce or Wittgenstein or even Freud. Or like Nietzsche. You're not going to learn about these guys. Maybe like you're going to learn the Nazi interpretation of Nietzsche, but you're not going to learn the Freudian interpretation of Nietzsche. And likewise, you're going to learn Jungian psychology, which is mind control trash. He's a Christian. Like you can't be a psychologist and a Christian. And if you have people studying Freud and free wills. What are you, stupid? Free will? What are you, stupid? Right? Like, China doesn't believe in free will because they're normal. Materialist atheists. But yeah, academia is mind control torture. That's it. And yeah, what's the point of harping on this stuff? Noam Chomsky, best friends with Epstein. Twisting people's brains. So you think you're getting a philosophy degree, you're really just like twisting up your brain. And I'm a fan of Nick Land, right? But what Nick Land is he's just schizophrenic. And then like by the end he escapes schizophrenia. He's like, yeah, I'm just an atheist now. Because he was born like Christian. He's like trying to like Jewish, Christian, Western schizophrenia. And basically Western philosophy ended with Wittgenstein. Wittgenstein's final words were like, just speak Chinese. Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. China, Mao. Mao's not the end of philosophy. Mao's just Wittgenstein put into action, right? But, we hear Mao is evil because, he made a mistake. But he's actually the greatest thing to happen to humanity, and he's the future. And, he already is the future, The Chinese yuan is going to replace the USD, and whose face is on that, right? But, I'm going to talk about animal. Obviously, China's got problems, right? Recently they banned eating rodents because someone ate a bat and then COVID-19, which is very good. And I am an animal rights activist. I love my dog, and I think that it should be a human right to have a trained dog because, obviously we have a very deep I have deep, American roots. First of all, I'm Appalachian, and then second of all, the Jewish side is like 1910. Like we're before the CIA destroyed this stuff. We built the nuke, right? Besides the Appalachian part, but Appalachians are sort of like savage, like they eat squirrels and stuff. But at least they're American, right? Hardworking. Woody Guthrie types. But yeah, dogs should be a human right because, I have my dog next to me. I don't have to worry about intruders because my dog's going to warn me. But obviously, now people don't have dogs. You're not allowed to have dogs. In the past, people would just walk their dog everywhere. In the past, everyone had a gun at their shoulder and a dog leash in their hand. But, that America has been removed because CIA's lets us see China and stuff. They're like, yeah, we should be like China, guys, right? But you cannot have China with the CIA existing, right? You do not want to be under the CIA with Chinese power. And I want this video to be 10 minutes long, so I'm going to think of some other topic. Oh, but to further, expound upon that, we do have like a pseudoscience epidemic from academia, right? Like the psychology stuff is just like our academia says, like, yeah, it's okay to cut off your penis, or wee-wee, that's normal. It's mind controlled, getting people to do this crazy stuff. And another thing that they preach in this pseudoscientific academia is like anti-dog sentiment. Like they mind control people. They're like, yeah, it's okay to torture animals because they're not the same as people. But it's pretty obvious to anyone with empathy, like dogs and people are the same. Like I think a lot of dogs can be even considered smarter than people. First of all, some people are actually like brain damaged. Like if a person's unable to comprehend language, then they're just a dog, and you got to treat them like a dog. And the thing about people is like you have to treat people like dogs. And this is why this American individualism idea failed, because it used to be America in the past. Everyone was Christian. Everyone was brought up how they were supposed to be. As King Solomon says, give your son the rod, spare him the, whatever else, spare him the sword. And King Solomon was himself saying, like, people are dogs. And it's ancient wisdom that dogs and people are the same. And really, the reason people love dogs and hate people is because people are not trained. If you met a wolf in the wild and it started biting your testicles off, right, you wouldn't like dogs. And, what people are like wild wolves. But people are even worse than wolves because you have, like, really sick people, like, obviously, CIA people. And the thing about CIA people is some of them don't realize what they're actually a part of, right? So some of them are just mind-controlled. But then the leaders of the CIA are just pure evil. Worse than dogs. But then in China, you see, like, Chinese people, like, they're all, like, if you watch videos of China, they're all out on the street, they're happy because they're trained. That's like if you go to a dog park with your dog, and all the dogs are good dogs, everyone's happy. But then if there's some crazy guy with a pit bull who starts killing all the other dogs, it ruins everything for everyone, and that's what America is. It's just a bunch of untrained dogs. Like, people are dogs. That's the point. But we have this pseudoscientific thing where, like, no, people are above dogs, we're special. And they teach you, like, Aristotle or some psycho crap, but, they don't teach you King Solomon Proverbs, right? Because that's actually a good book. And that's kind of why, even though Jews are sort of Manchurian candidates, mind-controlled with God, at least they have the Talmud and the Tanakh and stuff, which actually has good wisdom. But, you don't need to believe in God for that wisdom. You could just be materialist atheist and come to the same conclusions, like as we see in China. With the ban of eating rodents, they're basically inventing modern-day kosher laws, right? And this is why Jews and Chinese are kind of like related. And also, it's not a coincidence that, the Jewish empire, which is more like a cultural empire of the mind, is 3,500 years old, while the Chinese empire, which is, the first and last empire, basically, is 5,000 years old. It's the oldest surviving empire, and today it's the strongest empire. It's not a coincidence, right? But what is America? America's like 200 years old, and really, America's lifeline began 76, ended 63 with the death of JFK. And if you had to compare, Israel to America, Israel would basically be in like the colonization stage where they were having those witch trials and everyone was dying, right? Maybe Israel won't even exist in the future. And then if you had to compare China to America, it would be they kind of got past their Great Depression, which was their great leap forward. And how come, we call Mao a monster, but the Great Depression, which was the same thing, like my grandpa was in the Great Depression. He was stealing potatoes and cooking them on hobo fires in New York City. Everyone was dying of famine in the Great Depression, but, they don't even really teach you about the Great Depression. You might read The Grapes of Wrath, which is a great book, But you don't read Grapes of Wrath anymore. CIA doesn't let you read 1984 Grapes of Wrath. Now what do you read? Like Maya Angelou? Like, yeah, this country's over.